appears to be in the Batman. Now, Matt Reeves is downplaying this. He's like, oh, maybe it's not him. Oh, that wasn't setting up for the sequel, blah, blah, blah. It's like, whatever. Okay. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's not. I don't know. But either way, it seems to me like it's the Joker. Okay. And as a matter of fact, the as we discussed with the whole Facebook post of the brother, we're not going to get into it. We talked about it last time. Like, it's pretty much everybody's under the impression that this was the Joker, including the actor who was playing the Joker. Okay. So the question is this a Batman Begins-esque setup where we're teeing up for the Joker to be in the second film? Or is this something completely different? And part B of that question, do we want the Joker to be in the second movie, or do we want to wait, or do we want to not use him at all? There's obviously been a lot of Joker fatigue online of people saying they don't want the Joker, but part of me thinks that's not really true. But that's just me. Anyway, what are your thoughts, Teresa?
So I'm a little bit all over the place with this because I remember like we did a little bit of a stream talking about the Batman just a little bit on Kelly Warrior Woman 91's channel last year. And I was like, oh, I don't want, I part of the reason, I can't imagine that I had this thought back then. I was like, I don't really want to just do villains that we've already seen a couple times or several times already. We need to let new people come in. But at the same time, like you have to have your take on the Joker or the definitive version of the Joker on screen. If you're doing a Batman universe, everyone kind of just expects it. So I'm kind of torn between, Joker is one of my favorite characters from Batman. I enjoy Joker even more than Batman most of the time. So it's hard for me not to go, yeah, I do want to see the Joker again. And I would be happy to see him in a sequel. I'm just torn between, well, I want Mr. Freeze, which is a character I don't think the Joker really meshes with in a story. I would want to see Mr. Freeze and Clayface and Poison Ivy and all these characters we haven't seen done really come on screen. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I do want to see because I love this Batman so much. I want to see what his Joker is. So, I can't really say. There's the rumor that he's going to be a part of the newly christened Arkham Asylum show. Like he's going to be one of the main characters, at least for like the first season or something like that. And I don't know how I feel about that because I'm always like, I want to have him in the theatrical movies. I don't want to have them just confined to streaming. So I'm just kind of torn on the whole thing. I'll just say I really want to see the Joker in this universe, and I won't be mad if he's in the sequel. But at the same time, I really want to see these other characters done who haven't gotten a chance yet. And it's like, I mean, with this Reevesverse, we're probably going to get an appearance of every major Batman character from the comics because they're really teasing that they're expanding with these HBO Max shows and trying to bring more characters in. But for the movies in the theater, presumably only 3 movies, we only have so much space. But I think I don't buy Matt Reeves of, oh, we might not bring him in the sequel. Like he's already done an interview where he's nailed down a lot of what this version of the character is going to be. And I think if it really doesn't matter what he thinks if he wants to do Court of Owls. If the executives behind this are like, okay, bring in the Joker, we want $1 billion. Every movie he's been a part of in the past has made $1 billion. Then he's going to be forced to put him in there, whether we like it or not. And it doesn't really matter what the hardcore Batman fans or people on Twitter, saying we're tired of the Joker. They're like, mainstream audiences think Batman means Joker. They're going to expect the Joker. So for that alone, they might just put him in the sequel immediately.
Yeah, it's this weird sort of blurred lines where they only give Batman to very, very competent directors that they really trust, right? Like Chris Nolan and Matt Reeves. So it's this weird thing where, like, obviously they let Matt Reeves do whatever the fuck he wanted to do in this movie, but just about. I mean, literally, the movie's 3 hours. Zack Snyder was like, "Hey, can I make a 3-hour movie?" And they're like, "Ha, no." But then Matt Reeves is like, "Can I make a 3-hour movie?" And they're like, yeah, "Of course, Matt Reeves, you're awesome. You're great." So it's going to be the same sort of thing in the sequel where like Matt Reeves does have a lot of sway and he kind of can push WB around a little bit in terms of getting his creative choices. But there's a limit to that. And to your point, if the WB execs are eyeing $1 billion with the Joker, I mean, that's what's going to happen is going to be like, well, okay, this movie with the Riddler made $800 million. How much could we make with the Joker? And the answer is a lot more. And like, they're right. It would make 1.5 billion probably if you do include him. So
Unless they're
yeah,
like really committed to, oh well, Matt Reeves wants to do Mr. Freeze, Court of Owls, whatnot, so that's why we're putting Joker in like the Arkham Asylum show to kind of develop him there, and then maybe bring him over into the movies later. There's no way he's not going to be in the movies. It's just a question of when.
correct. And there is an argument to be made to put him in the third movie. Like there really is,
Yeah.
because here's the problem with looking back at the Dark Knight trilogy is that you start with Batman Begins, which is obviously a really solid start to the trilogy. You go into Dark Knight, which is just this like incredible high point where the Joker performance is incredible. Um, you know, really, it's impeccable in every way, and you can't really top the Joker. That's the problem that Chris Nolan ran into, is you can't beat the Joker. He's too iconic. He's too impactful from a marketing perspective. He's just too iconic. So when you follow up with Bane, it doesn't matter how great Tom Hardy did in that role, it still was going to feel like a letdown. And basically, The Dark Knight Rises was doomed before it even came out. And that was the problem with it. And WB might learn from that mistake. And actually, I do kind of think in the second movie, it would be a wise move. If I were them, it would be a wise move to have him tangentially, sort of interstitially around it. So maybe he has like 5 minutes of screen time or something. Think
Yeah,
of like a
I was
Suicide
actually,
Squad esque
yeah,
cameo, right?
I was about to suggest that maybe he could kind of be in the second movie, just sort of in the, like he's here and kind of planting the seeds, and maybe has like a minor relevance to the plot or something. You can plant the seeds and have him there, but have his big movie be the third one. The only reason I wouldn't like him being in the third one, even though I think that at this point it'd probably really work and would probably just build up more hype if he's like the grand finale villain, but then movie comes out and then it's over, and like then, well, I guess the previous Jokers. It's funny because there's been so many actors to play the Joker, and with various levels of success, but they've all each only gotten one movie, unless you count like Jared Leto appeared in Zack Snyder's Justice League, so I guess that's something. But we only get one movie with them and then they're gone, and then that would be funny if this followed the pattern, like you really only get one movie with this Joker, and then like him or not, he's gone. Like he's a one act clown. He only appears once.
Yep. And they've already actually changed that because the Joker was in this movie, whereas obviously in Batman
Oh, you're
Begins,
right.
it was just a Joker card sort of tease. But that is an interesting observation. I mean, I don't even know if you could call the character that we saw the Joker, really. I mean,
yeah, he's a proto version of him. He hasn't really become the Joker yet.
yeah, which by the way, I hate. Um, not the way that they did the Joker. What I'm saying is I don't want to see a movie with proto Joker.
No, I don't.
I only want a movie with real Joker. Okay, I don't want to see
I don't.
Joker like.
I still I don't like it when they give Joker an origin. I don't even really like it that in Batman the Animated Series you still kind of have an idea of who he was before the Joker. Like I'm sorry, I just like the Heath Ledger, the Killing Joke versions where it's ambiguous and he like has multiple stories he tells in place of an actual idea of an origin. I just like that a lot better. But I mean, it has been done where he has more of an origin, or at least an idea of who he was before the Joker. So I'm not going to say that it won't work. It's just not what I would prefer.
I completely agree with that. And the point I was getting at is with Gotham and all that, it's a perfectly fine show. I have nothing against it, but I really hate this whole shit of like, is it the Joker? Is it not? And then he like oscillates back and forth with being the insane Joker that we love, and then going back to like, oh well, actually he's like kind of normal, and maybe he's not the Joker. And then it's like, I just don't like that. I just, is it the Joker? Is it not?
Yeah, I think some of
Stop
that,
playing games.
if I remember correctly, I think some of that happened because they like were struggling with the rights to the character, and that's why when he finally appeared,
Yes.
he looked like Gollum more than the Joker. I think that's
Yes.
what happened, like with that show. That